we actually do the business. You just can't like get depressed and call us up and say, you know, just kill me now. It doesn't work that way, okay? You have to like man up and woman up. Just take it on. The pre-registration cards that I think you're all sitting on right now, not mandatory. If you don't fill it out, it won't be held against you when your case comes before us. If you do take the time to think about what your regrets might be at that future date, I want you to know that I take it very serious, and I work very hard to get you into the system, get a minion assigned to your case, knows your first name, get a login and a password and so forth. Get all that stuff happening now ahead of time, because later on it's really hard to do. You know, I think it would make me feel terrible if that happened. Maybe not as bad as you, but still something I wish to avoid. Untimely deaths, topic of. I hope we get through the show tonight without anybody in the audience passing away during the show, because it's really awkward for the rest of us when that happens. There's no refunds no matter what happens, so just think about your fellow theater goers and stuff, and so if you get that funny feeling, your left arm goes numb or something like that, just hang in there. Hang in there until the end of the show. Do your best. Everybody thanks you now in advance. All right? Because I don't want business to, you know, so to speak, to intrude tonight. We just want to have a nice evening here in this beautiful room in the snow and the Fringe Festival and so forth, because the next time you and I meet, it's, you know, be different. It'll be all business. I got to keep the line moving at all time. I'm apologizing in advance. I will not have time to chat with you, go over your regrets or anything like that, because, you know, the business is booming. It's always going through, so just, you know, don't take it personally if I seem rather distant at the time of your passing. All right, that's the business. Now onto the show, what we call the show proper. Why me? That's how it starts. Why me? I asked that question, you probably asked the question, why a slightly past middle-aged waitress gets chosen to be deaf herself, to take over the position? Well, I don't know the answer at all. I just can't figure it out. It's a mystery. But was there something about my life, perhaps? You know, that's been asked. Well, I had a typical boomer Midwest upbringing, really, except for one thing, and I don't know whether it's germane, but I'll tell you. I was invisible as a little girl, totally invisible. I'm a twin brother named Douglas, and he actually wrote this show, which is like super confusing to me sometimes. Like, just don't think about it too much. It might never come back. Twin, born in the Midwest. Now the thing, I was invisible. You know, I'm not saying like psychologically, like nobody saw little Dorothy who she really was, or they didn't like girls or something. No, I mean literally invisible. My parents didn't know that they had twins. You know, the nurses are there in the room, and they got little Douglas wrapped up in a baby blue blanket, and they're cooling over him, and I'm on the floor waving my arms around, saying, hey, little help down here. Nobody knew I was there. So somehow I got home. I don't know how I pulled that off. Somehow I got home, and from then on I was a feral child in a suburban home. I had to make my own little nesting area, you know, like scrabbling around on the floor, grabbing dust bunnies and socks and chicken wings and clocks and all kinds, whatever. That missing shoe you couldn't find. It was like all this stuff together and cementing it together with saliva, making a nice, warm, semicircular, you know, ellipsoid-shaped thing. Behind the couch was a good spot. It was warm and safe back there from the pets when they got into their moods. Feed myself, you know, a mystery. The early days are a mystery to me. I don't know what happened, but later on it involved, during certain unavoidable desperate hours, pet food. Now, dog food, you know, nothing to write home about. Dog biscuits are okay. They're even better than most power bars, I think. They're good for your teeth, you know, you have wholesome teeth and gums and all that stuff. Cat food, wet or dry, terrible, terrible, terrible. Now, you have to be really desperate. The thing is, as desperate as you know, you could find a crumb, 1/2 of a kibble, in the bottom of the cat's bowl, and it's soaked with cat saliva. And the cat would need it to save its life, right? No way, it just turns its head. But if you want it, cats don't want to share at all. They don't like it. They'd rather taste your blood. So it was a strange childhood. I mean, I was growing up on my own, invisible, just in the household, observing. Vaguely, I observed. I was like a miniature Jane Goodall working with an American family. I don't know whether you call it typical or not, but American family, just observing how they worked and interacted and stuff like that. It was fascinating. And like I said, I had plenty of time. And that just went on, that strange childhood. I really didn't know how strange it was because I didn't have anything to compare it to. Right? But still, it was weird. And that just went on until one day, when I was 8 years old. Late summer, late August, to be more precise. Late in the afternoon, and in the Midwest, in Indiana, the air is so thick with humidity and pollen and dust and insects and stuff, you have to kind of part it to make your way through it. And you see this air floating in the air in the kitchen, and I'm observing Douglas and Mom chatting about something before dinner. I don't know what they were chatting, I can't remember. But I'm just observing, eating a cookie. When suddenly it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi said, there's a shift in the force. Something happened. Like a wave of something or other passed through the kitchen as I watched them chat, and the colors all of a sudden just became brighter and more intense. The whole place kind of had a new vibration that I had never felt before. The blue and white checked dishcloth on the oven door, bright, overwhelming. The dust, the dusty rose print wallpaper by the stove, all of a sudden brilliant. And I hear screaming in the distance, and I think, that sounds like Mom. Is she screaming because the colors are bright all of a sudden? Well, I turned and looked at her, and what? Well, she's looking at me and Douglas back and forth, screaming at the top of her lungs. Just all in crazy girl scream. Now I see her seeing me for the first time, which has never happened, and I see her screaming, and I think, well, that's just what you do when you're first introduced in this manner. So I start screaming too, and we're screaming together, and we're getting these great mother-daughter harmonics. And the air is so thick, you can kind of see these concentric rings quivering in the air above our heads. It's fantastic. Memorable experience. Now Douglas sees his twin sister for the first time. Overjoyed, right? Not. As he sees the cookie in his head, figuratively speaking, explodes. Little backstory. Part of my food supply, great part of my food supply growing up, was the cookie jar. I ate a shitload of cookies, and Douglas got blamed for every single one. It pretty much destroyed his childhood, and he has never fully recovered from that. Just the guilt and the blame. He's stamping his foot saying, Douglas, truth. It's like, God, why don't you believe me? And they just wouldn't. Really, he still blames me for it, I think. But we're working together well now. But it wasn't my fault, right? So anyway, he's screaming at Mom. She did it, she did it, she did it. It was all her. She's not listening. She's screaming, looking at me. He gets bored, goes out the backyard and plays. Mom and I keep screaming until basically we run out of energy. We stand there panting, kind of like with this, that was some screaming feeling going on. And an awkward moment, as you might imagine. But my mom was very practical. When she turns around and grabs a damp sponge off the kitchen counter, hands it to me. And we both realize in that instant, she doesn't know my name. How could she, right? What's your name, dear? She says. And I say, thinking, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought maybe that's kind of like a trick question. Because the thing is, I wasn't named. I had to take my name, Dorothy. And I wasn't sure how that worked. I don't know if this is obvious to you, but it was the Wizard of Oz. That's where I got it. It's like the Bhagavad Gita in America in the 1950s. And there's Dorothy, and she's brave and wise and kind and funny and fearless. And she kills 2 wicked witches. And she's such a good guy, she feels bad about it. And she saves everybody. She gives everybody what they need, the clock and all that stuff. She's fantastic. So I identified with her. I said, okay, I'm Dorothy. I wasn't sure whether I'd have to give the name back or something. So that's what I was, frightened about that. But she said, well, that's a lovely name, Dorothy, and hands me the sponge. Now, would you wipe the dinner table out and set the table for dinner and include a plate for yourself? Now, the thing is, that was all that was ever said about the sudden appearance of a, till now, invisible twin daughter. It's a Midwest thing, I think. We just don't, we're not loquacious. We don't talk about stuff. We don't chat, ever. And especially, I think this might have been endemic to my family, but if it's a problem, if it's a personal problem, talking about it will definitely make it worse. So just let it go. People die, they move on, things change, just let it go. So, as a matter of fact, I don't think they ever told Dad about me. I never saw really any indication that he knew. I never had a chance to ask him about it, but mystery. Anyway, my life improved, obviously. I got to sit at the dinner table, eat meals with the family. I got a permanent nesting area. I didn't get my own room like Douglas, but still better. some girls' clothes. I didn't get to go to school because, you know, they'd have to explain, you know, all that stuff. So that was life. Yeah, I had fond memories. AM radio at night, you know, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, summer wind came blowing in across the sea. TV, lots of TV. Saturday night movies, pizza, big bowl of Uncle Ben's converted rice with butter and sugar covering, like equal parts. Watch El Cid or something. That was fantastic, you know, those are fond memories. That all ended when they sent Douglas away to college and they opened the door and they said, "We invite you to explore the world on your own, Dorothy." So I did. Now I was what you might call not fully socialized. And so being on it was like being an immigrant to planet Earth. Unfamiliar place with people. So like many immigrants, I got my job in the food and beverage industry. Washing dishes, being a bus girl, and then moving my way up. And this wasn't a matter of months, this is years, decades even. Cooking and bartending, cocktail waitressing. That was pretty much the apex of my career. That was, you know, just a little bit of heat there, you know, fellas. It's all business, really. All business. So my career in the food and beverage industry it's this arc, it's a story arc. And cocktail waitress is up here. Now the direction is going this way, downhill. And I'm working as a server in a high school cafeteria. Total glamour job. You know, you got your hairnet, and name tag, smock, and support hose, and these shoes, which I am convinced are purposefully made ugly. You know, it's no accident the shoes are ugly. They work as hard to make them ugly as they make, you know, like the fashion stuff. That's already a job, except I smell like the bottom of a sink by the end of the shift, and no tips, that's for sure. But I'm not living out of my shopping cart, which is better. Now something starts to bug me. And they say it was my envy from your brother, and it's just my lousy life, and that had driven me crazy. I was kind of crazy, but it wasn't that. It was something was happening on Thursdays. Something about Thursdays was really getting to me. I know that sounds mysterious or weird, but Thursdays, it's like an itch I couldn't scratch. What was it? And I did some research and I found out, this is not something not generally known, but on Thursdays, well, I knew this from my work. Meatloaf is served on Thursdays at the cafeteria. Well, I didn't know this, and you probably don't either. Meatloaf has been served on Thursdays for millions of years. Non-human civilizations of which no trace remains served meatloaf on Thursdays. They didn't call it that, of course. But we would recognize it as such. Maybe they didn't serve with mashed potatoes and green beans, but still, it was meatloaf. Now this just enhanced the mystery. It's still bugging me, and I'm not sure why. It's getting hard to go to work on Thursday. So, I think it was a Sunday evening. I'm watching my little 13-inch TV in my studio apartment, and the original Japanese monster movie Godzilla comes on. It's a close-up of Godzilla. And it's modeled, glossy, quivering, disgustingly quivering surface. It's kind of brownish, and it's got a shade of green over here and some threads of red going to it. It's altogether appalling. And my pattern matching software goes into action. Bang, bang, bang. We have a 100% match. Godzilla and meatloaf are the same thing. Just different stages. Now this is a textbook example of one of those things that it is really better not to know. And I apologize for telling you. You'll learn about it. So this horrifying knowledge that I've got now, it's even harder to go to work. I really have to steel myself to work. I skip a couple of Thursdays. I finally go in, and I make a tactical error. I go into work, and I just don't want to look at the meatloaf, knowing what I know now. So I go about my daily work, just looking everywhere but at the meatloaf. Thing is, meatloaf are scanning the environment all the time. They're watching humans. They know what we do. They know our habits. And so they know Dorothy, server number 2323, is not looking at them at all. And so they know I know. And according to their ancient traditions, I must be totally destroyed. And for them, I mean, it's not just that they're going to destroy me. They want to drag it out and get some fun out of it. So they start torturing me with the sarcastic remarks like love what the support hose are doing for you today, Dorothy. Does that hairnet have a tinge of purple in it? It's just so nice. You know, I mean, I mean, women know this. The guys, it might sound like a compliment. It is not. It's not at all. And so they upgrade. They just slowly, week by week, they get worse and more sarcastic and nasty and filthy remarks. I mean, really just over the top, even with the threatening gestures when nobody will know and see them moving around in the hotel van. Now, this usually ends up with their victim being put in one of those huge, gigantic stainless steel baths you stir with canoe paddle and that juice into a sauce. It's terrible, really. It's terrible. Not many people know this horrifying story. But I avoided it because they made a tactical error of their own. So one Thursday, one beautiful morning on Thursday, the Meatloaf arrives and they go, it's D-Day. Dorothy dies today. So they go through their plans. After lunch, they come after me physically. They attack my person. And part of their attack is not just physical, it's emotional. They got this like ray gun or something like that. It makes you feel super depressed and you lose the will to live. You just feel yourself wilting. It's like, yeah, it's best for me just to exit. I'm not feeling good. But they made a mistake. They made a mistake. They don't, as smart as they are, they don't know American culture and they aren't what do they call this? People who like movies. And so it's like they've got some errands to run later in the afternoon and they kind of want to get there. So it's like, will you cooperate, Dorothy? And they say, surrender, Dorothy. And that's like handing Popeye a can of spinach, right? I mean, all that comes back to me. It's like the Cowardly Lion, the wizard. They need me. I killed 2 wicked witches. I can't put up with this. And so I just, it's like taking the kryptonite handcuffs off of Superman. I grab a razor-sharp spatula in one hand and a heavy-duty stainless steel spoon in the other, and it's just mayhem. Meatloaf never saw anything like this, I can assure you. And they're just like a piece of meatloaf flying everywhere. People are wiping this dripping meatloaf blood off them, pieces sticking in their nose and falling off. The students are running for the exits. Helicopters flying around in the parking lot. I mean, it was mayhem. They hushed the whole thing up. That's for sure. Nobody's ever heard of this, but it was just crazy. But I survived. Of course I got fired. Fuck that. Who cares for my disruptive behavior? Fuck that. I mean, I was alive. I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but being near death like that makes things so intense, so lively. Now, it's even more intense when some assholes like the Meatloaf try to kill you and you kill them instead. It's like especially wonderful then. And a bluebird on my shoulder, I'm taking a wonderful walk down the town. It's just like the best day of my life. I am alive. And I end up in front of my favorite bar, the Dewdrop Dead Inn, and I think I'm going to celebrate with a martini because I'm alive. And I walk down the stairs from the sidewalk into the bar, opening those double doors with the round windows in them. And the place is like it usually is, pretty near full, mostly guys. It's quiet today. You hear a pin drop in there. It's like a tune. One seat open at the bar, I put my bottom on the seat, and I say, Bud, I want a martini. I'm alive, man. Bud's just staring off into space. He's pretty much catatonic. In fact, everybody in the bar is just staring off into space or down at their shoes. No sign of any consciousness at all. Just the sound of Fox News, TV. Now, there was one guy in the place showing a little bit of a sign of life, sitting right next to me. New guy. Wasn't a regular, because I would have recognized him. He's about 7 feet tall. Very elderly gentleman. And his coat was ancient when he got it. And he's got this agricultural implement leaning up against the bar, and he's grumpy. I can tell I'm a cocktail waitress. I can read people. It's my business. And so, I see the jaw muscles going, it's like unhappy, and it's like I just look at him, I'm getting a read. I think, Amish. Amish. I can see the whole story. He's like 103 years old. He's been a good Amish farmer, and one day he snaps. He gets only 57 cents a pound for the rutabagas, and he goes, fuck it, I'm getting a drink. So he goes to a bar, and he sits down, and the bartender just stares off into space. It's like, that's ironic, right? He's like 103 years to get a drink, and he can't get one now. And he's pissed off, and so I grab his arm with my hand, and I say, listen, my friend, don't you fret. Well, I'll get us through this. I'm a professional. I'm a regular here, so don't worry. I'll get us some drinks, all right? And at the minute I put my hand on his arm, he snapped and looked at me. He just stared at me. intently. I got off the stool and I went around the bar, and I moved Bud out of the way because he's in front of that booze. And I'm looking up there and I'm thinking, wow, I forgot about the martini. And I look back at this fellow and I go, Scotchman, right? It's not a question. He's Amish. What does he know? He definitely looks like a Scotchman. So I'm thinking, but not the fancy single malts. Doers. Blended Scotch, which does do nicely. And it may sound like a product placement, and it would be if I could, but it's not. I need all the product placements I can get. And a bottle of Doers, a couple of glasses, I put them on the counter. A couple of doubles. A little extra because I got to pour it myself, right, Bud? Come on. And I pick up the glass, clink, and I look into his eyes, and I'm just about to say cheers. Thing is, when I look into his eyes, everything stopped then. He's black, deep pools, abysses of blackness. I just fall into those eyes. And it might sound romantic, I suppose, but it wasn't at all. It was the opposite of romantic. I think pretty much, I'm not sure, but I think it was eternity that I went to when I looked into his eyes, holding his glass of scotch in my hand. Short story, not my cup of tea, eternity, at all. I could talk to you all night long about eternity, but I'm going to save you that experience. Maybe do a separate show, and nobody needs to come at all. Anyway, I'm there for a long time, because it's eternity, right? Maybe it didn't seem that big from the bar. This guy reaches forward from the bar. This Amish farmer grabs my arm in a death grip. He's intense. It's serious. And he looks at me and goes, "Who are you? What's your name?" And it snaps me back into the human dimension, space and time. 3 dimensions, life, warmth, the sun. I never knew how much I liked it. Thing is, that question, what's your name? Most of us, unless we've been hit in the head really hard, can answer that, no problem. But I was just getting nothing like my name. Of course it was a weird day with that meatloaf and all that stuff, and it's just like shocking. It's like, just drawing a blank, and it's getting frustrating. I'm afraid I'm making a bad impression because I just don't know my name. And then I remember I got a name tag on, hallelujah. So I look down and it says, "Hello, my name is Dorothy," and I take the name tag off, and I'm thinking plausible. Very plausible. In fact, I get this image of tornadoes and little dogs and stuff, and I think, okay, maybe that works. Maybe I'm Dorothy. I push the name tag across the counter to the guy. I say, "Hello, my name is Dorothy." I read it for him. I say, "Yours?" He stares at me blankly. "Your name?" I add helpfully. Stares at me blankly. And I think, how amusing. How cute. We're so similar. We just met. We got so much in common. We don't even know our names. I'm super patient. I just have a couple of sips while his wheels in his head are grinding, and finally he coughs up, "Todd." Todd. And I say, "Well, Todd, it's a pleasure to meet you." And he goes, "Really?" I said, "Sure, why wouldn't it be?" Now, come on. And I clink the glass again, and he's like, okay, right, he's Amish, doesn't mind a drink. Conversational drinking 101 starts. So pick up the glass. Come on, pick up. It's like getting this guy's like a sloth. Pick up, come on. And finally I get him through it. Pick up the glass, sip, talk, conversational drinking 101. Civilized. I was going to say he's a good conversationalist, but to be more accurate, he's a good listener. Very good listener. Fascinated by everything I have to say. So I'm prattling on and on about my child and so forth, and my crazy day and all that. He's going, "Meatloaf? Really?" And I'm like, "Yes, really." Well, I got stains right here. And right in the middle of one of my fascinating stories, a wooden piece of paper, ancient, thin, like airmail paper. Remember that? Wafts down from somewhere. Like a maple leaf, or one of those maple seed pods. And it lands on the bar right in front of my new drinking buddy, Todd. And he looks down at it. I look at it. And he moves slowly and sloth-like and puts his hand on the paper. And the minute he touches that piece of paper, the guy sitting on the other side of Todd, a guy named Ralph, regular customer and acquaintance, asked me out too many times. Not my type, but okay. Anyway, Ralph shows a sign of life, kind of. Bumps up against the bar, groans, and then falls off the bar stool onto the floor below. Clutching his chest, groaning. Heart attack. I mean, I watched enough TV to know that's a heart attack. Now, I'm not EMT, far from it, but I am what would be food and beverage professional, FBP. We're trained to serve. I don't have the same skill set. We are trained to serve. So I rush around the bar, and I kneel down on the ground, and I grab Ralph's hand, and I look into his eyes, and I say, "Ralph!" And that's like the extent of my healthful capacities. I acknowledge his existence. And he's scared. His eyes are, wild. And I look up at Todd, my new drinking buddy, who's just looking down at us like everything is just perfectly fine. Just flowers on a wonderful summer day. And I'd say, "Todd, call someone. Call 911. What's wrong with you?" And he goes, "Why? He's dying." Indeed he was. I didn't really have an answer for him, but I turned back to Ralph, holding his hand, looking to his eyes. Something really, really peculiar happens then, is that we're kind of linked up. And Ralph is indeed dying, and I'm going with him. He's going from this realm of 3D, warmth, the sun, life, friendship, all those things. And he's going across the Great Divide to that other place, which doesn't have those things. And I'm going with him. I'm experiencing everything he experiences, all the regrets, from the silly regrets, like his overwhelming disgust at dying on this barroom floor that's really sticky, that terrible sound it makes. It's like he's just mortified, I guess, so to speak. And then he's like, the typical things you would think, like, where's my family, my wife, my kids? What happened? That's basically his question, is what happened to my life? It can't be over now. It was just getting started. That's the way it seemed. But no. No, the last thing we see together, Ralph and I, is his life seen as a tiny, infinitesimally brief, small spark of light in the depths of infinite black space. That's it. His whole life. A shattering thing. I mean, he didn't know what his life really was. I mean, it was more than he thought and less. It was more than he thought, because now he knows how precious and unique, what a gift it had been. He never really considered it very much before. Took it for granted. And it was so much less than he thought, because like most of us, he thought he had all the time in the world. It begins way over there, over the horizon in this, and over here, somewhere far, 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 far away it ends. But no, I mean, we're like mayflies, the human beings, in a certain way. I mean, mayflies, they actually live in June. It's kind of a mix-up. So they live for 8 or 9 hours on these hot, humid summer days in the Midwest. And so, that's their whole life. They're born, they breathe, and they die in 8 or 9 hours. But they have a full life, right? And so there's a couple mayflies. Picture them. They're sitting on a little twig, and there's a rivulet running in some backyard in Missouri, and the mayflies are chatting. What else have they got to do, right? So they're just chatting about life, and one of them says, remember when we were kids, 2.5 hours ago? And things, and the other goes, yeah, of course I do, but things were simpler back then. People were nicer to each other, it wasn't rush. You could get a parking space for crying out loud. They're just chatting in that way, and just blah, 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 the way they did it at the Rayleigh's coffee shop. And, it's like one of them mentions a Reader's Digest article they read the week before about how with these modern technological advances, maybe someday we could live to be 10 or 11 hours. My God, it's like I could practically learn Scrimshaw without that extra time, or take Mandarin, something I always wanted to do. Mayflies, they're stupid. So, I'm kneeling on the floor with this dead guy's cold hand in mine. I look up at Todd, my new drinking buddy, and I realize now, what you probably got earlier, was that he's death himself. Come to that bar to execute, so to speak, a work order called Ralph. And it's done. That job of work is completed. And it's just so weird. I mean, I can tell, looking at this guy, that what just happened is as weird for him as it was for me, totally inexplicable. How could it be? We're both just completely dumbfounded and mystified. We stare at each other. I do not know how long. It was just like this space of weirdness and questioning. What was that? And finally, he breaks the ice, breaks the spell. He looks down from the stool at me, and a few words, chooses them carefully. we go to a Denny's. Buy a patty melt or something. And I know, I mean, it just sounds really out of place, right? But it wasn't. In the context, it was like, yes. Yes, I mean, that is, I mean, you have, I mean, whether you turn your nose up at the patty melt or not. And I have been places where they do. I mean, it's interesting, you know, but it's a grounding deal. You have to give it that. And I needed the grounding effect of a patty melt and the French fries. So we leave the bar, the Dewdrop Dead End, walk out into the beautiful night, and we walk kind of like Mutt and Jeff because he's super tall and I'm not. And we make it to the nearest Denny's. Now that's not accident. Predilection for Denny's on Jeff's part. It's like professional respect because they are open, always open, just like that, to serve your needs, whether it's like for hamburger or to die. You know, they're both there all the time. Christmas Day. So we get to the Denny's, the stewardess grabs up with those big menus and says, come on, you crazy kids, we'll take you back to a back booth, because she sees immediately we're the back booth kind of people. And it takes a while to get back there. In fact, it's so far back there that I swear to God I saw the curve to the earth in the aisle as we made our way back there. Eventually we got there, she slaps those menus down cheerfully and says, Christina's your waitress and she'll be here shortly. And she was. I got the water and the coffee and the order, all that set. We're sitting at the table and it's like a super awkward first date. I don't know, it's like you know, dating a 90-year-old English teacher when you're 8 years old or something. It was just weird. It was weirder than that. I don't know, it was like, it was, I mean, for both of us. I mean, he'd never been on a date before that, for sure. And we're just looking at our coffee, and then the sandwich arrives. Thank God, I've got something to do with my hands now. And the thing is, but I have to describe when that sandwich arrived. It was like you could hear the choral music play. You got your coleslaw, French fries, pickles, parsley. And then the sandwich itself. Rye toast, rye bread, grilled in butter. You have to ask for that and they use transmission food. Cheddar cheese, grilled onions, hamburger patty. Fantastic. And then they cut it in half professionally. And in each half has been placed what we call in the business a frill pick. So beautiful, so regal. The sandwich is just so perfect. You take the frill pick out, otherwise it goes up your nose. Take a bite, oh, fantastic. French fries, coleslaw. I'm not the kind of person who eats it all at the same time, right? You know, now I don't eat the hamburger, and then the coleslaw, and then the French fries, and a little bit all the time, so they ruin them. I'm starving. I mean, and it's good. I mean, it's so good. And I have to tell you why. Like I think I said earlier about the near-death experiences, making experiences really intense, flavors, smells, all that stuff gets stronger. So now, this is a near-death experience, I think, right? Meatloaf, assholes, tried to kill me earlier in the day. A couple hours later, I'm taking Ralph to the other side, like a seasoned pro, and I'm coming back. Now I'm sitting in a booth with the guy himself. So yeah, it's a fucking good sandwich. It was really intense. Near death, it's like a director's cut, triple X dance mix, and yeah, something to write home about. So anyway, I finished the sandwich, thank God. The whole time he's watching me like a hawk. Not like a hawk, because a hawk is an intense gaze, but it's disinterested. He was actually watching me more like a dog, the way a dog watches you eat, because their interest in the food is intense. They really, I mean, they have the kind of attention that most meditators would kill for. It's undivided, it's single point on the food. As it goes from the plate to your mouth. They follow it back. And I can tell you this about dogs. For them, this is like watching a thriller, like a Matt Damon movie, combined with a religious experience of some kind. And it's like, what's going to happen? You know, it's like, what is it? Sandwich is disappearing. What's going to happen to this thing? It's like, you know, what? You know, the thing about it, I mean, most people don't know this, but when the dogs watch us in that way, we're driving them crazy. Because as far as they're concerned, we chew way too much. And they're just like, come on, just eat, would you? You know, makes them mad. So when I finish the sandwich, push the plate away, get a fresh cup of coffee, and I'm just about to ask a question, wouldn't you? Like, what the hell's going on? How did this happen? How did we get here? What was that? But I don't get a chance because he puts up the hands that you don't talk to. No, Dorothy. I want to hear about you first. I want to know about you. And I said, but I told you, back at the bar, prattled on for a long time about my life. He goes, no. I want to know everything about what? My life stories. That's it. Something he never heard of or had never been interested in either, for that matter. A life story. Yes, he says, and sits back, crosses his arms. Come on. And so I start. I mean, it's tough to do that. Just try, and when you go home, try to remember what the first thing you remember was. What is your first memory? It's actually more difficult than it sounds. I worked for half an hour trying to figure out, I was getting back to last Wednesday, and then a couple months ago, there's something there, and but my life story. So I actually got started, and it got some rough starts, cul-de-sacs and wrong turns, back up, so I forgot this. But I finally get some flow going. I'm really getting into it. He's a really good listener. He's intensely interested in the story. In fact, so much so that he keeps interrupting me with what I consider to be inane questions, like, are there cats in cat food? Why do they come with tennis shoes? Why do you build those little houses to put cars into? They're just stupid questions. And I finally because he's interrupting my flow, right? And he just wanted one more stupid question. How many dogs in a can of dog food? And I said, shut up! Todd, I mean, come on, I'm trying to tell a story. Just shut up. He goes, I just want to know. I'm sorry. And I said, write down your questions at the back of a placemat, and we'll get to them after I'm done, okay? He said, oh, fine, sorry. Go ahead. Talk. So I finished. I'm talking for hours and hours and hours, all night long, and then back booth at the Denny's. My life story. Finally get to real time, which is about Meatloaf, right? Meatloaf attacking Dorothy. That's all capitalized. It's epic. And so somehow, it's so epic that I don't know how or why I got up there, but I'm standing on the table in the Denny's. Todd's sitting down there looking at me like I'm a crazy woman, which is probably true. And I'm going through the epic battle, so capitalized, epic battle, Dorothy versus the fucking Meatloaf. I got a spatula in one hand and a stainless steel spoon in the other. It's mayhem. I'm just talking him through the whole thing. It's very exciting. I'm like a 24-hour restaurant goddess or something. Right? I'm like King Kong in the Empire State Building, but really happy. Get me all everywhere. And right at the peak of this story, I swear to God, across the street, above the strip mall, right above the donut shop, the sun comes up. It's dawn in Denny's. And the sun just floods through that front window and just fills that whole place with this gelatinous golden light. It's so beautiful. Even back in the kitchen, where the kitchen is, and they got these guys with bright white paper hats, and they've been polishing that stainless steel obsessively all night. And the sun hits it, and it just goes, it's just blinding. I can't believe it. I'm standing up here watching the whole thing. I see the Denny's spread out before me, the aisles going hither and yon, this way and that way. And way over yonder, I see the doors, and the ministers and truck drivers and paper boys and Grand Slam devotees are filling in the place, and the waitresses are going crazy, surrogate mothering with the coffee pots. How you doing, hun? And pigs and blankets are going by, and one goes by with a stack of blueberry pancakes, and the butter's melting now. I mean, it's like a goddamn commercial. It's so beautiful. The butter is melting over the edge of the pancakes as she goes by, and the sun shines on it. It's just too much. It's like Vermeer. You pour the coffee, and the steam rises, and the sun hits it. You know how that looks. It's fantastic. And the sun glints on their hairsprayed hair as they go by. I just can't believe it. It's all so wonderful. And I looked down at Todd, my drinking buddy. I still got my arms up there like this. Right? I mean, I got tired. And I say, Todd, I really like the guy. It's already. First date, we spent the night together in a back booth. And Todd, isn't it just fantastic? Look. And he looks up at me and he, I don't know, it's all right, I guess. I mean, don't know what you're getting at, but I'm concerned because I think you're getting lightheaded. So get down from there, would you? So he pulled me down, and I'm just out of breath from the fantastic storytelling, and I get some fresh coffee. Claudette comes by. It's been a change in shifts, new waitress, fresh coffee. I order breakfast. I don't know if you know this detail or not, or need it. Denver omelet, hash browns, right toast, butter, small OJ, water, no ice, more coffee, fresh cup. I mean, I've been drinking out of this one for 13 hours. I'm just buzzing. Breakfast arrives. It's perfect. Just accidentally. I mean, it's not always perfect. Just today it was. Salt and pepper, just a touch of Tabasco. I'm just looking at these hash browns. I mean, I swear to God, I would be happy with 2 orders of hash browns, skip an omelet. So, crispy. Oh, good. So anyway, I got a fork of hash browns, and I'm just about to eat them. And at the corner of my eye, I see this little man with a mean-looking little face and a funny-looking hat. He's making a beeline for the booth. Knows Todd, obviously. Comes up to Todd. He's got a sheaf of old papers, like parchment and shit, under his arms. He goes, "Hey, boss, I'm sorry to interrupt you," right? He's not sorry at all. I want you to sign, he spreads out the papers, it's like, I want you to sign here, check this, and stuff like that, regular business, right? Well, it's not. Todd falls for it because he doesn't know inner office politics at all. I know a minion whose name is Clem. Minions are like Death's little helpers. They're like elves, but they don't bring presents. Presents of mine, perhaps, I don't know. But anyway, this Clem, this minion, comes to the table. He keeps looking at me. That's why he came there, to check me out, not in the good way. He's just looking at me evil. So, he said, "Boss, check this." And I'm like, I'm a slug at the table or something. Finally, he can't contain himself because you must be Dorothy. And the minions, they followed what was going on. They were upset because the boss went into a Denny's late at night with a much younger girl. Just don't like the look of it. It's just, it's unseemly. So they want to check me out. They're already predisposed against me, thinking it's like going to be Yoko Ono ruining the band and everything. What's gotten into the boss? So you must be Dorothy. I said, "Yeah, pleasure to meet you." He can't be in my business and not know how to deal with assholes. So he lays the table, bye, Clem. And I finished my breakfast. I just it's like just watching the whole fork full of hash browns there, and they're still kind of warm. You finish the breakfast. Todd's watching, and it's like, I finished the breakfast, push the plate away. "Now, Todd, it will not be denied. I want some answers. What's going on? You told that little guy that I'm going to be working with you now. What's up with that?" He goes, "I just assumed. I mean, first of all, you walked right in the middle of one of my jobs, but you stepped on my foot. And you're here. You're sitting in the booth with me all night long, and that's unusual. So I figured, if you got some other place to go." And the thing is, I didn't. Lost my job. And the thing is, even if I had some place to go, and this is a real surprise to me, I don't think I would have. I realized suddenly that I'm really enjoying my time in the booth, more than I ever had, really. It's like a new friend. Of course he's strange. Who am I to blame? Yeah, I like this. He's got an interesting work, it's important, and he needs my help. I never had that kind of offer before, so sure, I was glad to have you on board. Now I got a few questions, like what's the business? He goes, "Really? Well, more details." So okay. But I have to pry it out of him because he doesn't want to talk shop. First of all, he's like trying to deflect me. It's a TGIF, Dorothy. Let's not talk shop today. He's kind of bored by the whole thing. Been doing it for 100 million years, and it's like, I'd rather read the Wall Street Journal, which he thinks is like the Onion, like a sophisticated onion. I thought that's a serious business paper. He goes, "Not possible. This is really subtle black humor." He wants to go back to Wall Street Journal. It's like I keep trying to pry these questions. Okay, finally he relents. He says, "Okay, simple form. We got people here, right, in the land of the living, so-called at least. And they expire, and we get a work order, and We take them across after having separated them from all their baggage, psychological or otherwise. And we land them there, and that's our business. And he really didn't know very much about either realm. Wasn't interested. He just had his work to do. But now he's kind of getting interested in the realm of the living. He's sitting in a booth with me. I said, okay, that's a simple form. And it gets more complicated, but it took time. What was happening was I couldn't rush it. I didn't really want to anyway. But we were getting to know each other. And I actually sang that song to him, getting to know you. All about you. Claudette, we became great friends. In fact, she left Denny's to work for me now. She lent us her iPad so that I could play movies and I could show Beetlejuice and Meet Joe Black and all these movies to and my favorite music, Bob. I have a very limited taste in music. Bob Marley and the Grateful Dead, Black Peter. He loved that song. But we're just getting to know each other. I mean, it's a beautiful friendship. What else can I say? We really appreciate each other. I'm learning from him, he's learning from me. It was had a little bit of that Mickey Rooney, Judy Garland thing going on. Like we're going to put on a show to save Grandma's house, but no, we're not going to do that. We had this vision, not about a show. But we came up with it, like organically, we both just came up with this vision, inchoate as it was, of a better death. Like we could redesign this ancient public utility service and make it more useful and more user-friendly for the people. Maybe benefit the whole universe as a whole. We thought big, right? This is like going from petroleum to solar. Why not? Why not think big? So we do. As we're getting to know each other, it's great fun. 7 weeks go by in that booth. We stayed there for 7 weeks. We lived there. Todd was very comfortable, kind of like Tony Soprano at the pork store or something. It's just like, okay, I'm in my booth. I do business here. I mean, it was all right, but food is so salty there. So anyway, the business thing, I could go on all night. In fact, the development of the new business of death is a TED Talk. I'm not going to bore you with that stuff here. It's very technical and it's business types and you have to pay and stuff like that more than needed. It's just, not. But I can dilute the whole thing. I boiled it down. I reduced it like French sauce to 3 things. Friendlier face for death. Kind of like Betty Crocker instead of the skull and crossbones. Friendlier face. 2. Options, upgrades, choices, levels, clubs, cards, club cards, executive lounge, little pins you get to put on your lapel, right? I mean, we're working on all this. I mean, it's the beginning stages. But, yeah, that's what people need, like some way to approach the thing. And aspirational, there's levels you can reach, things you can do. And, you can, brag, executive lounge. But I want to tell you, because a lot of people get excited when they hear about options and choices. Well, not dying is not one of the choices. Still mandatory. What we're trying to do is improve the service, but it is mandatory for the foreseeable future. 3rd, public relations, marketing, outreach, education. Now this show is option number 3 right now. I mean I don't put this on the poster for obvious reasons, but this is an infomercial. No refunds. Yeah, so we gotta get the word out, right? I mean, the thing is, people think that when there's like a change like, okay, Todd has been deaf for like 100 million years, there's a sudden change in a middle-aged waitress from the Midwest is suddenly deaf herself, that maybe there'd be a fucking press release or something, right? Well, there isn't. Nobody tells anybody anything. It just happens. So I'm out here, and the only way that we can afford to do so, get the word out. I mean, and when I say afford to do so, some people will think, well, Dad, you've got the good leads, the bad leads, you've got all the leads. Everybody's a client. But the thing is, it's a free service. There's no PayPal button. Buy now, in fact, but there is actually, but it's not connected to anything. But there's no, it's a free service, there's no money, there's no income stream. We don't even get the coins on the eyes anymore, for crying out loud. So the whole thing is like self-funded, Kickstarter, GoFundMe, all that stuff. We're doing our best. I mean, why else would the CEO of Death, it's not Death Incorporated, it's Death Disincorporated, Chief Executrix, why else would I be traipsing around the country doing this show at my age if I didn't have to? I have to. I got to get the word out. It's my job. So that's what we're doing. We're getting to know each other, come up with these death plans and stuff. It's creative. It's fun. It's fantastic. Like slogans. For instance, business needs slogans, right? To get the word out. I show them a few examples. I'm looking out the Denny's window. See up there, slogan, slogan, slogan. So we work on it. We come up with one. Our first one, I can see it in the notebook now. Death, no worse than your CPA. And, you know, it was like it took a couple days to think about it. It's like, okay, who knows what a CPA is, right? Very few people. What is a CPA? And then the second thing is like, no worse than. It's not the way you start a slogan. It just gets things off on the wrong foot. So we worked really hard. We had some contests involved. Some of our friendly local, you know, the regular customers got to know us. And we come up with some new slogans like, Death, it's the new black. Death, think outside the pine box. That goes in the Economist magazine, you know, because like, you know, you're smart. Death, try it. You have to. Death, change you can really believe in. And then, I don't know if this is a slogan or not, but I really want to do this. And when we get the dough to do this, we have one experimental location, a billboard above the freeway in Sacramento where you're like always stuck in traffic. When you're trying to get out of town at 3 o'clock, it's a bend in the road under the freeway, the railroad, and it's like you're stuck there. You move 3 feet every 10 minutes, right? You just hate yourself for having a life in which you're stuck in a car right there, and then every day or something like that, right? And it's just, you get to the point where you're shouting at the radio, "Shut up, Terry Gross! Shut up! I can't stand your voice anymore. I'm tired of it." And right at that moment, your maximum displeasure, you look up and you see this billboard, and it's got the blue sky and the puffy clouds and the rolling green hills and a little brook and a bridge over the brook. It's perfect, right? Heavenly. And a little older couple there, and they look really happy and prosperous and stuff. And then on the billboard it says, "If you were dead, you'd be home now." All that. Yeah. So I mean, at least we haven't gotten into like 2-for-1 specials. Layaway plans. So yeah, we have fun doing business, coming up with these new plans, outreach, Twitter, Facebook, right? I mean, I'm trying to explain to a guy who's a million years old what Facebook is. Challenge, like, how do you have so many friends? And a tweet, he goes, "Come on, there's nothing called a tweet." I said, "Yes, there is." The 140 characters, like it. Once he got into it, though, he became tweet master, right? I mean, man, a few words. Mostly what he says to people is, "You're dead. You're dead. Keep the line moving. I'm kicking you into this bottomless pit. You're dead." Not everybody goes in there. None of you will go into the bottomless pit. You're dead. And yes, I do know who you are. You're dead. No, there's no one we can call about this. So 140 characters, long form writing for him. He worked on it for 2 days, one tweet. He loved it. So lots of fun, and we're coming up with creative ideas on how to improve the service. But we can only do so much on our side of the retail counter, if you can imagine such a thing. The client, some of the burden rests upon you, the client, if you want to. It's not mandatory. Just like the cards aren't mandatory. But if you want to improve the service, you have to do something too, like education and preparation and some things like that. And I'm not sure why. I regret to tell you, but a part of this seems to be that one of the doors into this space is the regret thing. The point being not having them. I wish I'd lived my life different. And there's certain kinds of regrets, like things that can't be fixed. You know, forget about those. We do our best in life. But if you talk to, at the opening event, we sat next to a hospice worker, and I had to tell her that hospice workers are all exalted associate minions, whether they know it or not, for their work on the front lines. I shouldn't use front lines because it's like a war thing. It's not the front lines. They're there with people who are going to die. They know what it's like. They're there all the time. They know that space. And so they know what the regrets are, what the most common, you might say popular regrets that people have are. Like, you can Google this, don't do it now though. Hospice, 5 regrets or something like that. And you'll see that there are things like, I wish I had bought Apple in 1990. I wish I had gone back to Machu Picchu. I wish I had spent more time at the office. I wish I had made more money. Well, of course not, right? Of course not. Nobody in the history of the universe ever had a regret like that. It's just not applicable at that time, or applicable. It just doesn't compute that way. Now, I'm not going to say what the regrets are. I mean, you figure it out. You got your own. It's your business, personal. But it is part of the equation. Now, speaking of infomercials, I said something about infomercials earlier. Now, I wanted to do, when we were in the Denny's, I think we need a real infomercial, like a 30-minute long infomercial that shows in the middle of the night, that dark night of the soul moment. Probably nobody here has ever experienced that. When you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and think, oh my God, my life. You turn on the TV, and instead of seeing one of those ads for those Bowflex machines, was I tripping or what? You see this. It's an infomercial. And it's about, the point is that we need to upgrade the marketing materials, like beyond the woodcuts and stuff. Get into more modern symbology. I mean, that scythe and the reaping, nobody even knows what that is. Your medieval peasant, he know what the scythe reaping meant, right? It got right through. We don't know. It's just a joke. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So we got to upgrade the symbology, too. So I've got Frances McDormand, I hope, takes this role. Perfect for her. I love that woman. So picture Frances McDormand, not me, pushing out shopping carts the size of a small pickup truck, and she's just about to enter the store. And there's these Temple of Karnak, these they're faux sandstone things that look like the Temple of Karnak, right? It's a huge opening into the store, and above it says IKEA. Or something like that. Lawyers will tell me what we can do. So Frances McDormand pushes the cart in through the door, and there's actually arrows on the floor that tell you where to go. Just like life. And the living room, appropriately enough, is the first stop. Now they got couches and chairs and settees and hummocks and hassocks and packsticks and all that stuff has a Scandinavian name, right? I've researched it, and it's just randomly generated letters. It's a joke on us. There is no Kurtfunk or Funkpap, right? And on either side are sample rooms, each one a complete life. Wonderful. Which one shall I take? You push the cart where the arrows tell you where to go. Now you're in the bedroom. It's like they got queen beds and king beds and couch beds and monk beds and trunk beds and nail beds and all kinds of pillows, all descriptions and everything. Bedrooms, each one you can, I have dreams, beautiful dreams in that room. Fantastic, right? Keep pushing the cart with the arrows. Now we're in the kitchen. Now people lose their shit altogether here. They just have visions of the Mediterranean meal that they could cook here, and it's olives and feta cheese and smoked salmon. I can see it from here. Each kitchen is a different meal that you dream of. And then the bathroom, and it's all about, steamy showers and towels wrapped around your head and warm, heated towels hanging over it. It's just fantastic. And the Scandinavian, that light-colored wood that they've used, and it's also crisp, beautiful. And then you keep pushing the cart where the arrows tell you where to go, and now you're in the section of the store where you get the actual stuff, the cups and plates and saucers and colanders and satchels and patches and all those things. And it's so literal. I'm not kidding. It's so cheap that you have to buy it. You call your CPA and goes, fill up the cart. You can't afford not to buy this stuff. It's so cheap. How do they do it? You got your cart filled up. There's hardly any room in it at all. You got all these numbers written down with a little golf pencil on the card. What do they mean, right? What is it? Keep pushing the cart. You're just about to exit the second, the exit symbol of Karnak doors. But right before it, there's a pallet, and on the pallet are 144,000 votive candles. Wrapped. That's one item. And it's called, like, fact book. $7.99. It's like you call your CPA and he goes, okay, you're going to use 10 votive candles a year. Make the deal. Get it. Put in the cart. And now you're exiting into the warehouse where they actually shot that last scene in the Indiana Jones movie. Endless aisles. High stacked, 3 stories tall. Numbers. I see strange figures. Numbers. It's like you try to relate it to what you've written down. It hardly makes any sense at all. You took 128,094. And you pull it, and there's no furniture. There's just these cardboard boxes that weigh a fucking ton. What is in this? It's just a box that's too heavy to move. This is not what I want. And you're getting super confused now. It's all starting to fall apart. It's like, what kind of movie am I in? And then, you raise your nose like that, and it's like, oh. It's coming from here. Cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon rolls, yeah. So you got the answer to the question you didn't know you had. And you push apart. And suddenly, without knowing, now you know it's a trap, right? There are no cinnamon rolls. There are no cinnamon rolls. You're in line to check out. Nobody wants to check out, right? You want to shop, but you can't. You're in the line and there's Jennifer Aniston staring at you. Dreadful. And now you're next in line. They beep and beep and beep, and now that customer's been dragged away. Now it's your turn, and they beep and beep and beep, and it's like this nightmare things. Like, I have a hotel room, but where is it? My car keys. How did I get here? How did I get here? What kind of car do I have? It's like, what's my name? Anyway, it stops beeping, and you think they're going to put it in this big cart so you can take it out to your car. Well, they're putting it in a cart, but they're taking it back to the store and putting it on the shelves. And you say, wait a second, that's my stuff you're taking. And this like 19-year-old kid with a Naugahyde apron on turns on and he gives you that look that is read appropriately. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. Look, the sign says you can't take it with you. The management. I mean, come on. I gotta explain everything to you? But you still have to pay for it. That's the weird thing. And speaking of paying, they beep the last thing and the cart's empty and they push it away and the checker, she's really rude. And she said $77 million, 300, she points to 300. And it's like, now the nightmare's really started now. It's like, my purse, what? And I'm really sorry, I'm kind of confused, I don't know what to do. And I lost my wallet, and they're just looking at you like, they've heard all this before, and it didn't have any effect then either. And then you get to the end of your spiel, and it's like, you're this helpless puppy, and they just raise their hand. She's signaling to the 2 rent-a-cops, the security guards, standing over where there might have been cinnamon rolls in a different world. And they oh, we got a perk. You just made their day. You made their day, because they just stand there and chat all day, and then they get a perk. That's you. And they come over and they have a perk walk, and they got the belts with the microwave ovens and the coffee grinders and stuff on them. And a big stick to hit you with. And they come over, you're trying to explain yourself, right? I was like, you're a reasonable person, right? You never would do anything wrong. And you're just trying to tell them, this is all right. And they're kind of nodding. They aren't really listening. They're actually chatting about a barbecue they're going to have next week. Chicken or ribs. And as you're trying to explain yourself to no effect, one of them's got your wrist in one hand, and they put their hand on right above your collarbone, and they yank your arm out. And it's like, ow! That really, really hurts. Tendons drooping and the blood spraying everywhere. And they take your arm and they toss it. And like they've done this a million times, which they have, the arm goes floating through the space and lands right in the center of this huge stainless steel hopper over here. And it says John Deere. It's a big agricultural device. And it grinds up your arm to this pink mush. and then it's flash dried, a truly technological process, into these gray pink pellets, and they run down a long trough, and they fall into a plastic bag. And you're going, wow, ow! And they pull out your other arm, ow, ah! Throw the arm, grind the pellet in the bag, and as before, that one leg, and you're just screaming your head off. It's like, this is so unfair. And they say, the ribs are really good. And yank your leg off, grind the pellets in the bag, and then just a torso with a head on it, you're getting really concerned. And they grab your head and they look right in your eyes. For the first time, they acknowledge your existence. And you're going, wait. I live here. You can't do that. And they go, yes, we can. They pop your head off. They throw it in the hopper, and it's really disorienting when your head goes like that. It makes you dizzy, but then you don't have much to worry about. Grind it up, the pellets in the bag, and the torso. Just like a second thought. Throw it in there. Game over. Now that's the, if I might say so, the pre-Dorothy era of death. Primitive, unhelpful, not service-oriented. Picture, if you will. So this checkout, this endless checkout line, checkers and people waiting in line and stuff. And above, when you're in some stores, you see those one-way mirrors above the checkout line. That's where the managers are. The managers of the week. The managers of the month are up there. And they're looking down through the one-way glass of the checkout line, and they see what just transpired with Frances McDormand. He says, we can do better than this. We've got to do better than this. So, phase 2 is after we've developed the smart shopper. We've got an educated shopping citizenry now. Public relations, the marketing, the outreach. So Frances McDormand has been through, she's filled up a pre-registration card, she's done it all. She's got a login and a password. She knows the big game, she knows the score, she knows what it's all about now. It's not just filling your cart with fat bumps and black punks. And all those things. I don't know what they are, but she's not getting them. And so she pushes the cart into the store, and since this is like a symbol for life, she still has to do it, right? But she's got other interests now. It's like being helpful and friendly and kind and relating to people and acknowledging their existence. So fuck that stuff. Who needs it? But you're helpful. Like there's Mother Teresa over there. She can't reach the scotch, right? Like, young lady. The helper, she goes, thanks. Where's the cigarettes? Yeah. So your whole context has changed. You're enjoying it in a different way. You don't care about that stuff. Even the votive candles. Who needs them? So that's the shopping trip. Actually, I haven't finished yet. I had to get a glass of water. So phase 2, Frances McDormand, smart shopper, comes through the line. A few things in the cart, beep, 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 beep. The checker gives her the bill. She thinks you're a weirdo already. Who needs that much, little stuff? You pull out this credit card. It's a little bronze credit card. It weighs about 3/4 of a pound. Put it in your pocket. You just show it to her. She goes, oh, one of those. How nice for you. Because you've got credit. You're paid in full. You've got credit. She goes, go on. The security guards come over, and with some ancient contractual relationship, they can rough you up a little bit. Not separate your arm or anything like that. It's like a full body version of heavy duty teeth cleansing. It hurts a little bit. There's a little bit of bleeding, but you feel so fresh and cool after it's all done. And you're like, see you next time, you fuckers. But now, you're not pelletized. That's the main thing I want to get across. You're not industrially pelletized. You get to be of your own power down another long, dark tunnel. I mean, the first ones go to this underworld freighter where they have 3-foot-long centipedes that sing country songs, which you must enjoy. That's the thing. That's what makes it bad. You have to enjoy them. But when you're a smart shopper and you got credit, I forgot to tell you because no one asked. how do you get credit? Where do you get the credit? I want to know. Pay attention to your own life, basically. You pay attention. You don't just walk through it, not ever considering what it might be and what it might be good for, and what a precious thing it is, and how you might choose to spend it. It's your time. That's the most precious thing. What are you going to do with it? So when you pay attention to it, you change the focus. So that's how you get credit at the end of your life. They don't tear your arm off. So I finished the script. You know, I'm going to do a Kickstarter to make this or something like that. But I got the script at least. I wrote it on the back of 25 placemats in the Denny's. And I read it to Todd. He goes, oh, I don't know. That's a little, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, but I'm just trying to make a point. You know, make it entertaining. Oh, fine. It's been 7 weeks in the booth, so we're getting a little cranky with each other occasionally. After the 7 weeks, it's been 6 weeks. The day in question, the day I'm talking about right now, is Sunday. It's the 6th Sunday we spend in a Denny's. It's beautiful. I mean, Sundays have turned into something really special. There's a Mexican trova band at the end of one of the aisles. You know, 3 guys with the funny hats on, a big guitarron, and a mandolin. They're just singing these beautiful harmonies. Fantastic. Kids are running up and down the aisle, screaming and laughing. Nobody cares. Nobody's going, you know, shut up, you kids, sit down. Having, you know, we're playing peekaboo with Todd. He loves it. It's just a wonderful atmosphere in there now, and I've gotten into it, and I've finished my infomercial. I'm testing it out. I'm doing the blocking out in the Denny's itself. I'm pushing an imaginary card around the thing and asking my dear friends and regular customers, you know, checking in how they're giving me advice and how try this, Dorothy, okay. Now, Todd's gotten into the act, which he is not supposed to do. By beginning the act, I mean he's left the table, and he's going from table to table. He's table hopping, telling people the slogans and the jokes, my jokes. But everybody steals. Thing is, he's not supposed to do that. It's kind of an unwritten rule that he doesn't engage people unless they come to our booth. It's on them. He's not supposed to go out and engage people. So he's doing that, and he's. The thing is, people are laughing. I don't want to break it up, and the assistant manager going, Dorothy, you know, But Todd, the people are laughing. It's not the nervous laughter, which he has heard. But the thing is, throughout his whole career, from human beings, it's mostly crying and wailing and screaming and terror and excuses and don't you know who I am? And is this a mistake? And you know, and he's just no. Sometimes I pick up this glass of water, it means I forgot where I am. It's just like all of a sudden I'm just standing up here on stage. Like I can't find my hotel keys or what's going on, how did I get here? But now he's telling those jokes and people are laughing with him. He's just loving it. It's like a kid at Christmas, times 10. But I gotta break it up. So I go to the booth and I, put my arm around his waist and it's like, I'm sorry, it's a school night. We gotta think, no, it is. It's not a school night. Well, kind of. And I take him. He's going, what? I'm having fun here. And I know, we gotta go back to the booth. And we sit down and we're super cranky. And he's always thinking big, and he thinks, all these people are laughing at his jokes, and he thinks he's a professional comedian now, and he's going, do you think Conan O'Brien would be better, or the Ferguson guy, do you think would be better for me? And I'm going, shut up. You're not going on TV. It's not going to happen. And I was like, I was mean. I was cranky, and I didn't know why. Even at the moment, I don't know why I was mad at him. I was looking backwards. I was possessive. I don't want to share him with anybody. My friend. It was a very special relationship. Cooked in that booth at the Denny's. We're working together. We're partners and friends. It's fantastic. But I don't want to share that with anybody. But I guess I have to, right? So I go to bed, so to speak. Sleep in the booth. I pull a blanket over my head. Get some shut eye. They since we were there for so long, they would turn the lights out at night just over our booth so I could get a little dark and comfortable. They're very accommodating, for which I'm extremely grateful. So we're there, in the booth. I've woken up. Sun's come up in the east, as it so often does. I get Claudette, fresh coffee, my eyes, I'm ready, pulling the asphalt out of my eyes. Waking up. It's a terrible night. Terrible. Hard to sleep in a booth at a Denny's. Claudette, fresh coffee, I order the usual. Get the coffee, I'm starting to perk up a little bit. I look over Todd, he's sitting in the booth looking out at the Denny's. Just with this wonderful countenance. I've never seen his face look like this. This relaxed countenance, just gazing at the people in the Denny's. And he turns to me and goes, Dorothy, isn't it fantastic? Is it wonderful there? I don't know. Ask me if I finish my coffee and get started. Breakfast arrives. Perfect. Hash browns, Denver almond, right. Salt and pepper, a little bit of Tabasco. Just the way I like it. I'm just about to dig in. But Todd leans forward in the booth, grabs the fork, gets a big bite of hash browns, eats it, puts the fork down, sits back and closes his eyes and goes, oh. Reaches forward with his hand. It's so intense, he has to grab my arm. Oh, those are so good. Ah, like sexy noises. Oh. He didn't know anything about that, by the way. His hand on my arm is warm. His cheeks are pink. He never ate anything ever. It's changed. I look at Todd and I say with horror, Todd, you're coming to life. He says, oh, that's what it is. So this is it. Oh, he's just amazed. His eyes get like saucers. He's just, he looks at the camellia flower wafting in the breeze outside the window. Oh. And I'm just about to scream. I mean, you might think that I would be happy that my best friend was coming to life. But I saw the whole picture. I saw the arc of this story, and it wasn't very long. What comes to life must die. What goes up must come down. And it wasn't going to be long. And I didn't want that. I liked the way things were. Even with all the salty food in the Denny's, I liked the way things were. I went to the bathroom. I screamed my head off. I banged my head into the paper towel dispenser. They thought I was dying in there. And I felt like it. It was not right. My whole life alone, desolate in a way, if I might not be too melodramatic. And I find this, well, not man, but a good friend, nevertheless. And now I have to say goodbye, and I can't. I mean, you might think that being in the business and spending 7 weeks in a booth with Todd would give me some equanimity around the subject. Well, about your death, yes. But not his. I'm not ready to say goodbye. I'm barely saying hello. But I have to compose. I mean, I'm in a tight spot because I can see the absolute quivering joy that it's bringing to him, and he knows the score. He knows the arc of the story. Doesn't trouble him a bit. I mean, this is the great adventure. Where does this go? He says. He knows, but how do you get there? What's it like? So I make my way back to the booth, trying to control myself. He pats me in the arm. I start to cry. But I just am drawn in by his, excitement's the wrong word, but something like that. The camellias wafting outside. A young woman walks by the table on the way to the bathroom with a newborn baby, and he gets that newborn baby smell, and he about passes out. Oh, did you smell that? Oh. And then a couple hours later, a guy who smells like he's slept in the bottom of a dumpster. Really terrible. goes by. Todd goes, oh, interesting. The layers. Where that man's been. And see, the thing is, to him, it was all the same. It wasn't good, bad, or indifferent. It was all life. He pulled it in. He soaked it up like nobody ever has. I mean, he ate a pickle off the plate when it changed my life just to watch him eat that pickle. He got more out of eating that pickle, and it's a terrible pickle. That most people get out of, like, an entire career. I mean, so much intensity. Pulled everything in, the odors, the smells, the looks, the textures. Sound of a garbage truck banging the dumpsters against the wall next door. It's like music. The minions, of course, because of the network involved, knew exactly what had happened immediately. They were beside themselves with pre-grief and panic and terror and sadness and sorrow, everything mixed into one thing. They just could not contain themselves. I mean, of course he was a harsh boss, but fair. They did not want to see him go. It was unimaginable to them. Change is hard for minions. So they started coming into the Denny's just to see the boss. Now, everybody has to order something, even though they don't eat or drink. So they all, for some reason, they all order vanilla milkshakes. And they sit at the counter. One time there was 18 minions sitting at the counter. You know, those round blue naugahyde seats that squeak when you spin them? They're just in the row, all there with vanilla milkshakes, untouched on the counter, looking over their shoulders at Todd and I, just gazing, just soaking it up, as it were. And then the booth next to us opens up, and 18 of them fill the booth right next to us with their vanilla milkshakes. And Todd, not really knowing the effect of what he was going to say, says, can I try one of your milkshakes? And they all burst into tears. They just scream with sadness. In fact, all over the world, I think at once, all the minions burst into tears. Uncontrollable sorrow. He goes on. He was enjoying himself so much, nothing could bring him down. And Wednesday he reached his peak. Peak. The magnificence of his life. A big, hearty being, glowing, radiating life energy. He tries, because he'd been curious about the parsley from the very beginning. So he said, can I try it? And I said, I think it'll be all right. Bitter. Good. Tries coffee. Now, I know what you're talking about. The thing is, I mean, one of my few regrets in life is that I never got a really good cup of coffee for him. Just that Farmer's Brothers stuff. But he didn't care. Thursday, he's fading. He's fading. We're listening to lots of movies and music, Beetlejuice, over and over. Black Peter's his favorite song. Grateful Dead song about poor black man dying. He would be played on the iPad and stop people on their way to the bathroom. Stop, you gotta listen to this. Sit down, listen. Beautiful. Getting smaller, he's shrinking, getting a little bit gray. And he starts to feel pain, much to his delight. Like, oh man, and I went over the whole thing. It's just like they take a piece of bread and they've got this stuff in a thing, and they just dip it in there like that, and they put it on a 600-degree grill for like 10 seconds. It's not French toast. He goes, I want up the French toast. So we order the French Claudette. She goes, you're not going to like it. I know. Order the French toast. It comes. It looks pretty good. Covers with butter and syrup. I say, you got to cover it up. He takes a bite, and he makes his face. He goes, oh, God, that's terrible. But the thing is, for him, it was magnificently terrible. It was like somebody looking at the Mona Lisa or something, or the view of Toledo. It was just like fantastically miserable, terrible food. What can't you guys come up with? It's wonderful. He didn't finish it, of course. Claudette, and wash that down with some coffee. Saturday afternoon, he's going fast. I'm just I don't know. I mean, I don't know where to begin. I just said, what? Because I've been delaying the question because I don't want to invoke what's going to happen. What am I going to do, Todd? It was a many-layered question. What am I going to do? He goes, well, you're going to take over the job. Isn't that obvious? You're my successor. You're going to take over. I said, I don't know how to do that. I'm not ready. He goes, neither was I. You'll be fine. The minions love you. You guys will work it out. Don't worry. I said, but what am I going to do about you? I couldn't say the word, but I can't. He goes, yes, you can. He goes, it's life, Dorothy. As if he needed to tell me. It's life, love, and loss. Both. Always. Both. Get used to it. He smiled when he said that. So for the rest of the evening I sang, kind of soft, sweet, Summer Breeze, one of his favorite songs. Came blowing across the sea. Lingered there. Yeah, you know the rest. So 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting in the darkened booth. And I see in the corner of my eye, a wispy piece of paper floating down. Gently. It lands on the table in front of me. And I never noticed, consciously at least before, that the table's covered with these tiny little orange and blue boomerangs. And I wonder, who designed that? And I look at Todd. I don't pick it up yet. No rush. I look at Todd and he's like, because he can barely, he's got a whisper in my ear. Come, Dorothy. And he says, I didn't fill out the pre-registration. And that laughing and crying at the same thing, it was like buckets. Buckets. And he patted me on the arm. And I picked up the paper and we went. And I took him there. And I came back. I'm sitting in the booth, alone. So alone. The presence of his absence was just beyond conception. I mean, it was like him not being there was a powerful, powerful thing. I don't know how to describe it. But he didn't even leave a corpse, just a little bit of blue gray powder on the seat and on the table, and his watch, an important part of the job, because it's all about time. I realized when I could get the watch. And an old, man purse, leather notebook with a strap on it, and I had seen it, but I'd never seen the inside of it, never opened it. Ancient leather thing. Open it up if you want. But it's dark in the booth, and I just sit there, I just look at those things. Kind of empty-headed, it's been a busy 7 weeks. And my best friend is gone forever, it seems. The camellias wave in the breeze, and I hear a train whistle in the distance a few blocks away. Garbage truck banging, banging, banging. Somebody slams the thing into the automatic coffee maker. The things you hear when you don't want to think, I guess. And then the sun came up, as it so often does over there. And the ministers and the truck drivers and paper boys and so forth all start coming into the Denny's. And as the light comes up, Claudette comes by the table as she had for 6 weeks, 6 days a week for 6 weeks. Coming to my table first with a fresh pot of Farmer's Brothers coffee. And she's just reaching out to pour me the coffee. And she kind of, she's going to do it, but she reflexively asks me, like this waitress humor thing we've got on, warm you up, huh? Surrogate mothering, right? Warm you up, huh? But I put my hand over the cup and I go, no, Claudette, no, not today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Just the check. That's all. Thank you very much. Just remember, it's all about living. The best way to prepare for death is to live the best life you can.